Welcome to Q&ASMR. Hello, I'm glad you can make it. These questions are brought to me by listeners like you. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Our first question comes from SkyGuy91. What did we call humans before we had the word human? Well, regular viewers will know that I have an interest in etymology, so this question jumped right out at me. I am sorry to say, however, that there just isn't an interesting story with this one. Before the English language, we had words to describe humankind, but they were simply variations on man. The Proto-Indo-European Manu, or the Proto-Germanic Man. One article I read noted that the words human and man were sort of interchangeable, especially in the Romance and Germanic languages, while they were quite distinct in other languages. But for the most part, the origins of these terms tends to date back long before we kept records. It seems that we, Homo Sapiens, have always referred to ourselves as man or mankind or human. Thanks for that question. Sorry to disappoint. This next question comes from Jay. How many different spells do they use in the Harry Potter series? That is a good question. While there may be spells as numerous as the stars, according to the lore, we really only see the characters use a small fraction of them. And once unspoken magic was introduced into the series, we had to begin inferring which spell was being cast based on the effect produced by that witch or wizard. Thankfully, the Harry Potter wiki has an alphabetized list of spells for me to check, and while I could just count all the entries, I think it would be more fun to list them all out for you here today. Many spells have two names. The incantation used to summon the magic, Wingardium Leviosa, and the name of that spell, the levitation charm, while others only have one or the other. I'll also do my best to include a short description of the magic if the name isn't self-explanatory. Aberto, the opening charm for opening doors and such. Accio, the summoning charm. The age line, used to keep persons above or below a certain age from accessing an area. Aguamenti, the water-making spell. Alarte Ascentere, used to launch something high into the air. Alohomora, the unlocking charm. Alohomora Duo, a stronger version of the unlocking charm. The altering spell, used to transform objects. Amplificus is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Amato Animo Animato Animagus, the Animagus spell, recited several times while becoming an Animagus. Anapneo, used to clear a target's airway if they are unable to breathe. Antioculatia, which causes the target to grow antlers. The anti-cheating spell, employed by schools to prevent students from cheating on exams. The anti-apparition charm, used to prevent apparition into a location. The anti-betrayal jinx, which creates boils on the body of the person to break a written agreement. The anti-disapparition jinx, used to prevent disapparition away from a location. The anti-intruder jinx, used to prevent intruders from entering a location. Aberricium, the revealing charm. Pare Vestigium, the tracking spell. Apparition, a method of teleportation. Aqua Erecto, for creating a jet of water out of your wand. Aquarius Scarius is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Aranya Exime, for repelling spiders. Arresto Momentum, the slowing charm. The arrow shooting spell. Ascendio, for lifting yourself into the air or up to the surface from underwater. The atmospheric charm, for creating or modifying weather conditions. Avada Kedavra, the killing curse. Avifors, for turning things into birds. Avensegium, which turns an object into a tracking device. Avis, the bird conjuring charm. The babbling curse. Badgering, for turning things into badgers. The bat bogey hex, which turns bogies, or boogers, into bats that fly out of your nose. Bobilius, which produces white sparks from the wand. The bedazzling hex, used to disguise things. Bewitched snowballs, which causes snowballs to throw themselves at a target. Bloomus is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Bluebell Flames, which produces a mostly safe-to-handle blue flame. Blue Sparks, which summons blue sparks from the wand. Bombarda, the bombardment spell. Bombarda Maxima, a much more powerful version of Bombarda. Brachium Emendo, which is intended to heal the arm, but we only ever see it vanish all of the arm bones. The Bravery Charm. The Bridge Conjuring Spell. The Broom Jinx, which makes broomsticks behave wildly. The Bubblehead Charm, for breathing underwater. The Bubble Spell, for producing bubbles from the wand. Calvorio, the Hair Loss Curse. Cantus, which causes the target to sing uncontrollably. Capacious Extremis, the Extension Charm, for making objects bigger on the inside. Carpe Retractum, the Seize and Pull Charm. The Cascading Jinx, which attacks multiple targets that are close together. The Caterwauling Charm, which produces a high-pitched shriek when someone enters an area. Cauldron to Sieve. Cave Initium, which keeps those inside its boundary hidden from others. Celestir, the Greenhouse Charm, which helps plants within a greenhouse grow faster. The Cheering Charm, which causes artificial exhilaration in the target. Circumrota, for rotating objects. The Cleaning Charm. System Aperio, the Box Blasting Charm. Coloportus, the Locking Spell. Coloshu, the Stickfast Hex, which sticks a target's shoes to the ground. Colovaria, the Color Change Charm. The Combat Bolt, which shoots energy toward a target. The Concealment Charm. Confringo, the Blasting Curse. Confundo, the Confundus Charm, which causes confusion and a suggestible state. The Confusion Hex. The Conjunctivitis Curse, which irritates the eyes and causes them to swell shut. The Cornflake Skin Spell. The Cracker Jinx, which summons exploding party favors. The Cribbing Spell, used for cheating on tests. Crinus Muto, which can alter the color or style of your hair. Crucio, the Cruciatus Curse, which tortures the target by causing them intense, excruciating pain constantly. Defodio, the Gouging Spell, used for digging or carving. Deletrus, the Eradication Spell. Densaugio, for enlarging teeth. Deprimo, for blasting holes in the ground. Depulso, the Banishing Charm, which sends the target away from the caster. Descendo, which causes objects to move or fall downward. Desk into Pig. The Deterioration Hex, which reduces the stamina of the target. Defendo, the Severing Charm. Diminuendo, for shrinking. The Disintegration Spell. Descendium, for opening passages. The Disillusionment Charm, which allows for chameleon-like camouflage. Draconophores, for turning things into dragons. The Drought Charm, for drying small amounts of water. Duclophores, which turns the target into a duck. Duro, the Hardening Charm, which turns things to stone. The Ears to Kumquats spell. The Ear Shriveling Curse. Ebublio, which traps the target in a bubble. The Echo Detection charm for creating echolocation. Engorgio, the Engorgement charm. Engorgio Scullus, for enlarging the target's skull. Entomorphous, the Insect Jinx, which turns the target into an insectoid. The Entrail Expelling Curse. Episci, for healing minor injuries. Epoximize, which sticks two things together. Erecto, for erecting a structure. Evanesco, the Vanishing spell. Everte Statum, which sends the target backwards. Expecto Patronum, the Patronus charm. Expelliarmus, the Disarming charm. Expulso, which causes a pressure-based explosion. The Extinguishing spell, for putting out fires. The False Memory spell. The Featherlight charm, which makes things light as a feather. Ferret to human, undoing the human to ferret spell. Ferula, the bandaging charm. Fianto Duri, a defensive or protective charm for strengthening shield spells. The Fidelius charm, for hiding secret information. Fiendfire, used to summon animal-shaped flames that sought out living targets to burn. Fenestra, which shatters glass. Finite Incantatum, the general counterspell. The Finger-Removing Jinx. Firestorm, which summons a ring of fire. The Flagrante Curse, which causes objects to burn on contact. Flagrate, which allows the user to draw or write in the air. The Flame Freezing Charm, which makes fire tickle rather than burn. The Flask Conjuring spell. Flintiphores, for transforming objects into matchboxes. Flipendo, the Knockback Jinx. Flipendo Duo, a more powerful version of the Knockback Jinx. Flipendo Maxima, an even more powerful version of the Knockback Jinx. Flipendo Tria, a more powerful version of Flipendo Duo. The Flying Charm, the Forceful spell used to push an opponent away with extreme force. Fortifundus is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. The Foundables spell, which unleashed the Calamity and turned things into foundables. Fracto Strata, for breaking weak objects into pieces. Fumos, the Smokescreen spell. Fumos Duo, a more powerful version of the Smokescreen spell. Furnunculus, the Pimple Jinx. The Fur spell, which caused fur to grow on the target. Geminio, the Doubling Charm, also sometimes referred to as the Gemino Curse. Glacius, the Freezing spell. Glacius Duo, a more powerful version of the Freezing spell. Glacius Tria, a more powerful version of Glacius Duo. Glicio, the Sliding spell, which turns the stairs into a slide. Golemus Mobilia is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Green Sparks, for producing green sparks from your wand. The Gripping Charm. The Growth Charm. Gusts, which makes gusts of wind. The Gytrash Conjuring spell. The Hair Thickening Charm. Hardenus is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Harmonia Nectare Passus, used to prepare a vanishing cabinet. Herbivores, which causes flowers to sprout from the victim. Herbivicus, the Herbivicus charm, which causes plants to grow rapidly. Herstriphores is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. The Homing spell, which follows a target. Homenum Revelio, the Human Presence Revealing spell. The Homunculus charm, for tracking the movements of humans. The Homorphous charm, for turning werewolves back into their human forms. The Horn-Tongue Hex. The Horton Keech Breaking charm, for better braking while flying on brooms. The Horcrux making spell. The hot air charm. The hour reversal charm. The hover charm. The hurling hex, for hexing a broomstick to hurl its rider off. The ice jinx, for creating a small block of ice. Illegibilis, for making writing impossible to read. Immobilis, the freezing charm, for immobilizing a target. Impedimenta, the impediment jinx, which stops or slows the target. Imperio, the imperious curse, which allows you to control the actions of the target. The imperturbable charm, for making objects bounce off an object and muffling sounds. Impervious, the impervious charm, for repelling water and mist. Inanimatus conjurus is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Incarcerus, for tying up the target with conjured ropes. Incendio, the fire-making spell. Incendio duo, a stronger version of the fire-making spell. Incendio tria, a stronger version of Incendio duo. Inflammare, the ignition spell for lighting things on fire. Inflatus, the inflating charm. Informus, which creates a brief description of the strengths and weaknesses of a charmed creature. The instant scalping hex. The intruder charm for detecting intruders. The jelly brain jinx, which slows the target's mental processes. The jelly fingers curse, which makes the target's fingers wobbly. The knee reversal hex. The knitting charm. Lacarnum inflammari, for igniting cloaks. Langlock, which sticks the target's tongue to the roof of their mouth. Lapifors, which transforms the target into a rabbit. The leek jinx, which makes leeks spring out of the target's ears. Legilimens, for delving into the mind of the target. Levicorpus, which lifts people into the air by their ankles. Levioso, for levitating things. Liberacorpus, which counters Levicorpus. Locomotor, the locomotion charm, which levitated and moved the object targeted. Locomotor mortis, the leg locker curse. Locomotor wibbly, the jelly legs curse. Lumos, the wand lighting charm. Lumos duo, a stronger, more flashlight-like version of the wand lighting charm. Lumos maxima, a much stronger version of the wand lighting charm that could float in the air to eliminate a large area. Lumos solem, for producing sunlight. Magicus extremos, for boosting a partner's spell power. Mellophores, which encased the target's head in a pumpkin. Meteorologix recanto, a broad counterjinx for weather effects. Mimblewimble, the tongue-tying curse. The Ministry of Magic fog. Mobiliarbus, for levitating and moving wooden objects. Mobilicorpus, for levitating and moving bodies. Moliare, the cushioning charm. Morsmordra, for conjuring the dark mark. Mucus ad mausium, the curse of the bogies. Muffliato, for preventing others from hearing you. Multicorphors, for changing the color and style of your clothes. Mutatio scullis, which causes the target to grow extra heads. Nox, the wand extinguishing charm. Nebulous, for creating fog. Oculus reparo, which mends eyeglasses. The obliteration charm, which removes footprints. Obliviate, the memory charm, which erases memories. Obscuro, which blindfolds the target. Opungo, for causing objects to attack the target. Orbis, which sucks the target into the ground. Orchideus, for conjuring a bouquet of flowers. Asquazi seals the target's mouth shut as if it were never there, like that one scene from The Matrix. Pack, which packs your luggage. The pain extraction spell. Papyrus reparo, which mends paper. The patented daydream charm. Partus temporis, the dividing charm. Pepper breath, for giving the target fiery hot breath. Periculum, which creates a flare-like burst of red sparks. The permanent sticking charm. Pesky Pixie Pesternomi is used by Professor Lockhart, but to no effect. Petrificus Totalis, the full-body bind curse. Pier Totem Locomotor, the animation charm, which moves inanimate objects. The Pinhead Jinx is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Piscaphores, for turning things into fish. The Placement Charm, for putting things on other things. Point Me, the 4-point spell, which points the wand due north. The Porcupine Jinx is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Portus, for turning an object into a portkey. Prior Incantato, the reverse spell, which shows an echo of the last spell cast by a particular wand. The Proficiency Charm. The Protean Charm, which transfers the changes made to an original object to its copies. The Protection Charm. Protego, the Shield Charm. Protego Diabolica, which conjures a ring of black fire that only harms the enemies of the caster. Protego Horribilis, a version of the Shield Charm for defending against dark magic specifically. Protego Maxima, a much stronger version of the Shield Charm. Protego Totalum, a version of the Shield Charm used to protect an area or location. Pullus, for transforming things into chickens. Purple Firecrackers, which shoots purple firecrackers out of your wand. The Pus Squirting Hex. Quietus, the Quieting Charm. Redactum Scullis, the Head Shrinking Spell. Reductio, the Shrinking Charm. Reducto, the Reductor Curse, which breaks or disintegrates objects. The Refilling Charm, for refilling a container with its original liquid. Reparaphores, for undoing minor ailments. Reverte, which returns objects to their original position. Relatio, the Revulsion Jinx, which forces the target to let go. Renervate, the Reviving Spell, which awakens an unconscious person. Reparapharga, which reverses incomplete transformations. Reparo, the Mending Charm. Repello Mugletum, the Muggle Repelling Charm. Repello Inimicum, which disintegrates those that enter the protected area. Revelio, which reveals secrets about a person or object. Rictum Sempra, the Tickling Charm. Ridiculous, the Boggart Banishing Spell. Rose Growth, for growing rose bushes quickly. The Rowboat Spell, which allows boats to row themselves. Salvio Hexia, which protects from hexes. The Sardine Hex, which makes the target sneeze sardines. The Sauce-Making Spell. Scorgify, the Scouring Charm, used for cleaning. The Sealant Charm, which seals envelopes. The Sea Urchin Jinx, which transforms the target into a sea urchin. Sectum Sempra, which cuts open the target as if by a sword. The Shield Penetration Spell. The Shooting Spell. The Slowing Charm, used to help brooms stop. The Smashing Spell. Serpent Sortia, the Snake Summoning Spell. Silencio, the Silencing Charm. Scourge, which repels ghosts and spirits. The Slippery Jinx. Slugulus Erecto, the Slug Vomiting Charm. The sonorous charm, which makes a magnified roar at the tip of the wand. Sonorous, the amplifying charm for making yourself louder. Specialis Revelio, which reveals spells cast on objects. The Sponge Knees Curse. Spongify, the softening charm. Sonicus is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Squiggle Quill, which turns quills into worms. The Stamina Charm, for improving stamina. The Stealth Censoring Spell, for detecting those in disguise. Sternius, which causes the target to sneeze. The Stinging Jinx. The Stretching Jinx. Stupefy, the Stunning Spell. The Supersensory Charm, for enhancing your senses. Surgito, the Disenchantment Charm. The Switching Spell, which instantly switches two targets' places. The Taboo, which magically alerts the caster to the location of anyone who breaks the taboo by speaking the word or name. The Tail-Growing Spell. Tarantalegra, the Dancing Feet Spell. Teacup to Tortoise. Teapot to Tortoise. The Teeth Straightening Spell. The Teleportation Spell. Tentaclorphus, which turns the target's head into a tentacle. Turgio, the Wiping Spell for siphoning liquid and cleaning objects. The Terrifying Charm is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Titillando, the Tickling Hex. The Toenail Growing Hex. Transmogrifian Torture. Tribuomnus, the Inn Charm, which improved the quality of food within a location. The Trip Jinx. The Twitchy Ears Hex. The Unbreakable Charm, which makes objects unbreakable. The Unbreakable Vow, which creates a promise between two people that cannot be broken, or the breaker will die. The Uninviting Charm is only mentioned in the series, so the effect of the spell is unknown. Unsupported Flight, which allowed flight without the aid of a broomstick. The Vacuum Cleaner Spell. Ventus, the Windy Spell. Ventus Duo, a stronger version of the Windy Spell. Ververto, for turning animals into water goblets. Verdilius, which produced green sparks from the wand. Verdimilius, which produced a jet of green sparks from the wand. Verdimilius Duo, a stronger version of Verdimilius. Vermiculus, which transforms things into worms. Vermilius, which produced red sparks from the wand. Vipera Evanesca, the snake vanishing spell. Vulnera Saninter, which slows blood flow and knits wounds, the counterspell to Sectum Sempra. Wadiwasi, which shoots small, soft masses of whatever at the target. The Washing Up spell. Weight Loss Charms. Wingardium Leviosa, the Levitation Charm. White Sparks, which produces white sparks from the wand. Aside from these 340 spells, there are 2 curses that are used but never get names. One, which is used by a Death Eater to inflict massive internal injuries on their target, and the other, which is used by Victor Rookwood to cause pain and illness that last for years. There are also 2 rhyming spells used by younger wizards in the story to little effect, but the characters seem to think they should work, so they are Eye of Rabbit, Harpstring Hum, turn this water into rum, and Sunshine Daisy's Buttermellow, turn this stupid fat rat yellow. In all, there are about 344 spells in the Harry Potter books, movies, and video games, which is still far less than the number of stars in the sky. I guess we muggles will just never know everything there is to know about magic. Thanks for your excellent question. This last question comes from Ben. How many different wands are possible in the Harry Potter series? That's an interesting question. If I remember correctly, wands have 4 characteristics: length, core, wood, and flexibility. So, as long as we can find a list of all possibilities, it should just be a matter of multiplying each of those individual values together. Let's start with wand cores. In the Harry Potter universe, there are 3 so-called supreme cores, which are supposed to be the best substances for wand making. As such, almost all of the characters in the main series have wands of these types. They are unicorn hair, dragon heartstring, and phoenix feather. We do know of 2 other wands with different cores. Fleur Delacour used Vela hair as her core, and the legendary Elder Wand had thestral tail hair. The series' secondary sources, the companion apps, the video games, the published side books, introduce a few more possible wand cores into the mix. Troll Whisker, Coral, Dittany Stalk, Thunderbird Tail Feather, Wampus Cat Hair, White River Monster Spine, Rougarou Hair, Horned Serpent Horn, Snallygaster Heartstring, Jackalope Antler, Kneazle Whisker, Kelpie Hair, Basilisk Horn, Curupira Hair, African Mermaid Hair, Fairy Wing, and Shell. In total, that makes 22 known possible wand cores. Next up, we'll do the wand woods. Unlike the cores, there appears to be no superior wood to craft a wand from, so the full list includes acacia, alder, apple, ash, aspen, beech, birch, blackthorn, black walnut, Brazil wood, cedar, cherry, chestnut, cypress, dogwood, ebony, elder, elm, English oak, fir, hawthorn, hazel, holly, hornbeam, ivy, larch, laurel, mahogany, maple, olive, pear, pine, poplar, prickly ash, red oak, redwood, reed, rosewood, rowan, silver lime, snakewood, spruce, sugar maple, swamp mayhaw, sycamore, tamarack, vine, walnut, willow, and yew. That makes 49 possible wand woods, almost a clean 50. Next up, we'll talk wand flexibility. In the series, the flexibility of the wand in question often only comes up when the wands are interacted with. When they are being sold or examined, they will be described as reasonably pliant or unyielding, or what have you. The full list of known descriptors is flexible, fairly flexible, quite flexible, very flexible, swishy, surprisingly swishy, very swishy, bendy, slightly bendy, fair bendy, rather bendy, quite bendy, whippy, quite whippy, pliant, reasonably pliant, pliable, very pliable, supple, reasonably supple, springy, surprisingly springy, slightly springy, reasonably springy, pleasantly springy, slightly yielding, unyielding, inflexible, unbending, solid, stiff, hard, brittle, rigid, and quite rigid. Those are all 35 of the words or phrases we know from the books, movies, video games, and more that wand makers and wand examiners have used to describe wands. Finally, we come to length. This is where things get a little less specific and a little more mathy. See, there isn't really a list of all possible lengths of wand available to own. There is a range of more common lengths, but like any set of numbers, that just means a bell curve has formed at that point and doesn't discount any outliers. So, from a list of known wand lengths of characters in the series, I found the minimum, 8 inches for Dolores Umbridge, and the maximum, which you'd think would belong to the half-giant Hagrid for his 16-inch wand, but in fact goes to Lucius Malfoy's wand at 18 inches. We also do know that wands can be measured in half and quarter-inch segments, so that would mean that every quarter inch between 8 and 18 inches is, theoretically, a possible wand length. Hypothetically, there could be wands shorter or longer than these lengths, but we have no evidence of any such wands. That brings us to 41 total wand lengths. Now, more math. We take 22 cores times 49 woods times 35 levels of flexibility times 41 lengths to get 1,546,930 different possible ways to make a wand. Thank you for that lovely question. Mischief managed. Thank you again to Sky Guy 91, Jay, and Ben. If you would like to have your question answered in a video, leave it in a comment below this one. If you would prefer to ask your question a little more privately, you can email me your question at questionsandasmr@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more questions like these every week. Thanks again for listening. Goodbye for now.